I play Steve Wozniak, who's the co-founder of Apple Computers. Um, and in many ways, someone could argue like the person who really conceptualized the idea that computers could be something that like a regular person could own and not just like giant companies, could own, basically. Yeah, he was friends with Steve Jobs, and I think Steve Jobs kind of recognized that maybe through this guy he could kind of create a massive revolution of sorts. I did meet Steve Wozniak several times. Yes. It was good. I gotta say, like, I first and foremost, approached the movie as like an actor. I view my job as like I'm part of the team who's like trying to bring the director's vision to life. And in the script, Woz is not written exactly how Woz is. You know what I mean? He doesn't talk exactly how Woz talks. It's not like a direct representation of how Woz is, in my opinion. Yeah. And so it was helpful to meet him, but it wasn't like I had to like study him and try to emulate his every gesture and tick and verbal eccentricities. There was maybe some little things here and there, but overall, it was helpful to meet him just to kind of hear his side of the story and just more. I mean, I'm just very interested in the history of the company, so it was just interesting, and he's an interesting guy. But I don't know. One could argue it helped my performance. Sure. Yeah. He does have a lot to do in the movie. He's in every second of the movie, pretty much, and he has. Yeah, I think he like speaks more in this movie than I've spoken like collectively in every movie I've ever done. Probably. It was very impressive. He was very focused and prepared, and he would have casual conversations and stuff between takes and setups, which was nice because sometimes it's nice to kind of break out of yourself a little bit, in my opinion. It was something I was very much looking forward to. I'm a huge fan of his and all his movies. And he just seemed. I'd seen interviews with him and stuff. He seemed very delightful, and in real life, yeah, he's like one of the most like enthusiastic people I've ever met in my entire life. Like he really, just the way he talks and gestures, he really is. He believes what he really buys it in a good way, and it's inspiring to work with someone like that because they clearly believe in what they're doing, and so it makes you more willing to do whatever the hell they ask you to do. Yeah, in that world, they were very cool for that world. I mean, I think in a world where yeah, like Bill Gates is the other cool person. Steve Jobs was like Robert Plant. Like, I mean, like the fact that he had like some style about him, and in some ways seemed like he was a guy who would be fun to have a beer with. I think put him like 100,000 miles ahead of the game, coolness wise, for the tech world at that time. And I think because of that, yeah, I mean, Wozniak like literally put on music festivals. I mean, he did hang out with rock stars. So I don't know. I mean, it's like anything. I think some people look back at some historical figures and think they did nothing, and others could argue they did everything. I think it's all your personal perspective on it and how closely you associate with technology. But you know, I I'm a writer every day. I sit down to an Apple computer for the last 15 years, and so it's a very big part of my day-to-day existence. So I don't know. I mean, I think I don't have enough insight to say. I know for me personally, I understand why he's a person worth exploring cinematically because, yeah, I mean, it's had a massive effect on my day-to-day life. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, actually, in elementary school, my elementary school had Apple IIGSs, which was one of the ones that was invented that he's constantly trying to get credit for. And then I started writing, and I never could have. They were expensive. I couldn't afford an Apple computer until I moved to LA and was like a writer on a TV show and worked in an office where everyone had Apple computers, and it was really hard for me to like reformat my files all the time. And so I like bit the bullet and bought a power book or something like that. Yeah. I do also believe it is possible to be decent and gifted. Yeah. Uh, I agree with that sentiment. I think I think a lot of people who like take themselves very seriously create an air of kind of mystery about them, or a certain sense of intimidation goes a long way. I think people who are affable are sometimes viewed as less intellectually viable because they seem to joke around and not be totally concerned with how they're portrayed at all times. And yeah, that's something that I relate to.